Hello everybody, this is Oliver Hines, aka Diamond House from metalunderground.com. I'm really happy to say we're here with Scott from Skeletonwitch. Here he is.
Hey,
well,
yeah,
you can't see him, but I can.
Yes, yeah, it's great.
It's a shame, he's gorgeous.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah.
It's great to be here.
Good. Straight into it, the latest album, Devouring Radiant Light, is out now. It's come out this year. Mm-hmm. It's been quite a gap between Devouring Radiant Light and Serpents Unleashed. Obviously, there's been the new vocalist come in between that, but aside from that, why has it taken so long?
Well, there was also an EP in there as well, of music. But I mean, that would be the biggest thing was changing singers, and then in between that, we wrote and released an EP, and then wrote and released a record. So it just took time to regroup, to figure out what we wanted to do, and there's a bit of an overhaul in the sound of the band too. So maybe you can hear it subtly progressing from Serpents Unleashed through the Devouring Radiant Light EP to, the Apothic Gloom EP to Devouring Radiant Light. I think if you listen to those records in a row, even with the vocalist change, you can hear the music getting kind of going the direction that it currently is in.
Yeah.
But yeah, these things take time. You know, we just don't want to rush anything. We want to make sure we are happy first and foremost, because we're doing it for ourselves. So if other people think that it took a long time, that they don't really care.
And the same to, like you say, you can't rush quality. So
true. Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, like we said, this is the first full length with Adam on vocals. Of course, he did the EP as well.
Yeah.
How was recording a full length with him different from the EP?
It was great. I mean, there wasn't much of a huge difference between those two, but there's a big difference between him and the former vocalist.
Yeah.
And it's all for the positive. Adam is so he listens to so much more music and has a much wider array of I think he has better taste and a wider variety of music that he likes within metal and outside of metal as well. So he's got more of a palette to work with, and he knows more references. I can reference non-metal bands about if I'm talking about a certain part that we're working on, and in addition to that, it's much more easy to collaborate with him. In the past, there was a time where I was told, I'm the singer, don't tell me what to do, and I was really just trying to work together.
Yeah.
And that was not something that happened. We did not work together. It was kind of like write music, give it to the singer, and then he does what he does, and there's not very much back and forth.
No.
Even though there was a little. With Adam, it was completely different. He was open to working back and forth with ideas, and he could handle constructive criticism, and I think ultimately that's one of many factors that led to Devouring Radiant Light being, I think, our most developed, most mature release yet.
Cool. Where does the title come from?
You know what? I don't even know. You have to ask Adam. He came up with it.
It just sounds cool. So.
Yeah. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but unfortunately, he's not here to let you know. But that's all Adam. Yeah.
Very cool. This year also marks the 15th anniversary of Skeletonwitch.
Oh my God.
Well, I was going to ask then if you had anything
planned?
Done anything special or anything like that.
No, because I didn't even know that.
There you go.
Had no idea. Yeah. Maybe I'll take myself out to dinner.
Oh, well, there's a decent kebab shop over the road. You can just go there. It's
wonderful.
For God's sake, don't go to the chicken restaurant, though.
I won't.
You'll be joining Hannah in hospital.
Oh, God, yeah.
But it's not just...
I gotta get in here real quick.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Hey, Adam, where did the title Devouring Radiant Light come from?
My head.
It's a good spot.
Yeah, it just came to me when I was writing the lyrics. I don't know.
What you got there?
I went to a craft beer place.
Oh, today?
Yeah.
Nice. You found something to do after all.
Yes. Hazy holiday.
Oh, damn.
Yep.
Sweet.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, that's okay.
No worries, mate. Right. Yeah, but there's been another change within the band as well. Your drummer's left this year, I believe.
Yeah.
So I think you've got James from Vader filling in tonight.
We do.
Cool. He's a fucking great drummer.
Oh, he's awesome. We have, as of right now, our situation is that we have James from Vader and Charn from let's see. Well, he's drummed for Behemoth. He's drummed for 1349. He's currently drumming with. His main gig is with Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats.
Oh, right.
So between the two of them, they're both incredible drummers and really great people. So it's sort of like, right now, we're not really that worried about. They both love touring with us, and they both said they'd be willing to make records with us. So we might have, like, you never know who you're going to get, one of those two guys, and we'll just make the scheduling work out between their two bands. And we might be like a 2-drummer band, but not at the same time.
Yeah, why not? As long as it works. Obviously, yourself and Nate are the main songwriters of the bands, which is normally a little bit. Well, obviously, there's a different style between each of you because you individual people and that. I was watching an interview you guys filmed in Canada earlier, where you were talking about you write longer songs, or at least you did this time around.
Yeah.
Is that still the case when it came to the full length? You were writing. Epic kind of things.
Yeah, like the longest songs on the record, like The Vault is like 8 minutes maybe, which when you compare that to the song lengths on, say, Beyond the Permafrost, they're like 2 minutes, 2 minutes and 20 seconds. You know, one song maybe hits 3 minutes, and that's more of Nate's fast, thrashy writing style, and I tend to try to make things a little more cinematic and a little more like grander in scope and add lots of layers. I mean, this is the first album where we put, we didn't limit ourselves with what we would do, meaning in the past we had the mentality of like, if we can't play it live, because there's like two guitar tracks, a bass track, drums, nothing else, because you can't play it, if we need extra musicians or whatever, like, then we aren't going to put it on the record, which I increasingly felt was a bad idea. Okay. Because the record and the live show are two completely different things. So you can create something on record that you want to sound a certain way, and then reconfigure it for a live setting. So on this record, there's like the very opening of the album, that's the song "Fen of Shadows." There's like 30 guitar tracks on that intro, just stacked up. And of course, we aren't going to have 30 guitars live, but we'll just we figure something out.
It's like adapting a movie into a play almost.
Yeah, so that's another reason maybe the length was there too, because I wanted to just expand sounds, and to do that, you can't just in 3 minutes. It's hard to make something expansive and kind of deeper than we have been before. And so the length just sort of came with me, adapting, like doing what I do, which is I write in that style that's longer. I mean, my contributions to older records are usually the longest one. If you look at our records, every song that's the longest is probably one of the ones I wrote.
This is nearly 3 minutes. What the fuck are you doing,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But I know you're a big fan of free jazz as well. And is that where?
Somewhat, and like
comes into it.
That, and also ambient music, and like really repetitive sort of droning kind of stuff. That kind of stuff takes a long time to develop. You can't. Let's see, what was I listening to today? Oh, I forget the guy's name, Terry somebody, but it's a really great record that came out this past year, and it's like sine waves and tones and chanting and all this stuff, and that's the kind of thing that you can't do that in a short format song, when you're really developing a feeling and a vibe and sort of like a meditative kind of thing. It just takes time to make that happen. So that's definitely my listening to that kind of music and stuff, just I think is definitely a factor in me, like taking time to get somewhere maybe with the song. Yeah,
there's an artistic influence basically.
Absolutely.
Cool. I first heard of Skeletonwitch about 10 years ago now, when the Get Thrashed DVD came out.
Oh yeah.
And you guys were all over the bonus features, and that you and Rumpelstiltskin Grinder and a few other bands. And that was cool for like finding these younger bands. And what was cool about yourselves, Rumpelstiltskin Grinder and a few others, is that you weren't. There was around that time there was the thrash revival.
Yeah.
And I'm not naming names, but some bands were just copycatting stuff.
Yeah.
But with yourself, again, Rumpelstiltskin Grinder, there was this like, it's like, well, you can hear that influence, but it's still something fresh, it's something new. So, I mean, because of that documentary, I got to find some really cool bands like yourselves.
Ah, that's great.
How much would you say thrash itself influenced on you, and did you find that taking part in that documentary, however brief your final appearance was, how much did that help?
I think we were more thrash influenced earlier on when we were younger, and the music was faster and more aggressive, and we were just more into that sound. I mean, it was always only one element, because just as much as we loved, early Exodus or Demolition Hammer or Creator, we were also listening to, lots of Swedish death metal and lots of and black metal and myself personally lots of rock and roll, like MC5 and the Stooges and the early like Detroit sound, and modern bands like the Helicopters from Sweden are one of my all-time favorite rock bands. So, what up, James? So there was always a lot more going on and a lot more influence and elements than just thrash.
Yeah.
So it was definitely an influence, but I think we actually got saddled with that title, like thrash revival, and I think it hurt us more than it helped us.
Yeah.
Because a lot of, I mean, I don't mean to sound shitty, but like people hear what you tell them to hear a lot. So when people read thrash revival and see our name, they really hone in on the thrashier elements of our sound, and even sometimes without listening to us, just looking at our logo and reading that, assumed we were a one-note, one-style, retro, pretending to be an 80s band without anything added.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, it actually, not the documentary didn't hurt us, but just being called part of the thrash revival again and again and again in the press made people a lot of people dismiss us as like, oh, they're just another retro band that's not really adding anything new, and we didn't feel like we weren't at home in that world, but we weren't also just a straight black metal or death metal band.
No.
So a lot of people didn't really know what to do with us.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't want to name anyone, but a friend of mine was talking with Gamma Bomb once, and there was another very popular band from the thrash revival playing, and they said to her, "You're not going to go watch them?" She said, "I've already heard Rain in Blood."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel that way with, to be honest, a lot of straight thrash bands that are newer. Like, it's just, personally, it's less and less and less of an influence. I rarely listen to any thrash metal anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I rarely listen to any metal anymore, to be honest. But
well, when you've got all the free jazz and ambient, there's going to be different with every track.
I got. I mean, I still enjoy some metal. It tends to be more black metal or like kind of crazier avant-garde stuff. But just like your basic metal doesn't do it for me as much as it used to. I've just heard so much of it, and there's not a lot of people doing that many interesting things with it.
I find that if you take a break from it, when you come back to it, it sounds fresh again, and then
actually,
remember what you like about it.
I agree with that too. It comes in cycles. I'll get in a phase where I'm really into a certain type of music, and I devour as much of it as I can and listen to it and get really into it and read about it, and then after a while, if I get burnt out or feel like I've kind of got a handle on it, and then I'll switch to something else. Like, I'll do that with world music. Like, I'll get into a certain region or area that has cool, like for a while, like the West African, like kind of rock psychedelic stuff from the 70s was like, all these records are being reissued, and they still are, and they're great, and there's some cool labels out there. I'll just like go crazy on it for a while, and I'm like, okay, I gotta take a break. I'll listen to something else. So
cool.
That's one of the fun things about music and art, though, is that you can.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's just so much out there. You can always just change your focus to something else, and it's fresh again.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today, Scott.
Absolutely,
really appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
And I'm looking forward to seeing the show tonight. It's going to be having my Skeletonwitch cherry burst.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Which sounds pretty fucking horrific.
Yeah, it actually does sound pretty bad. We'll try to make it as enjoyable as possible.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you, Ollie.